The next witness is Patrick McCabe. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Patrick McCabe. I live in Hyde Park, Massachusetts, and I've been coming to these hearings for some time. I'm very concerned about the state of our judiciary and the role that this council plays in determining who is a member of our judiciary. I'm particularly concerned as what are the standards that you put on these nominees to get them to be judges. I've made it very clear in the past that my view is we do have problems with our judiciary. I think our judiciary can be improved, and I think this body can play a major role in it. I was at Mr. Berman's first hearing. I did not speak at that hearing. I did not know Mr. Berman. And my comments really are just a reaction to his first hearing. At one point, he was asked about contacting an elected official to contact members of the council. He responded that he had not done that. A short while later, in the same hearing, he was asked the same question again, at which point he acknowledged he had contacted an elected official who had contacted, or he believed might have contacted members of the council. When he changed that question like that, I was very concerned because I think that goes right to one of the things that I think is most important for judges, and that is their integrity. I think if someone appears before a judge and behaves in that way, they're going to have a very, very bad day. And I don't see how it's appropriate to have a judge who so publicly exhibited such behavior. I don't know that much about Mr. Berman other than what has been made public about him, but it's very clear to me that he did make those statements, that he did not attempt to explain why his answer changed in any kind of coherent manner. Quite honestly, based upon what I heard, I think he probably should have apologized to the council at that point and perhaps realized that his ability to become a judge was done when he had done that, and that he needed to come back another day. I'm quite surprised that he is here today. I don't know what the conversation was that the governor would put this nomination back before you folks after the situation where he changed his story. Quite frankly, if he were a friend of mine, I would have told him to wrap it up, come back another day. You blew it. I'm not trying to go into all these other issues that have been talked about, but I think that one issue of changing his story was enough to sink his nomination. And think about it this way. If this isn't enough to sink this nomination, what is there to sink anyone's nomination? Is this body going to become a rubber stamp for everyone who gets put up here? I think you're better than that. Now, you may not agree with me, but I think there's really an issue to him changing his answer. And I'm very concerned about it, and I'm very concerned about how it's going to make you appear if you just allow that to go through. Perhaps there's some explanation. I can't imagine what it would be, but until there is, I just can't imagine why this nomination should go through.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you very much for your testimony. What? I'm sorry. Joe Ureneck is the next witness. Oh.
Good afternoon, councilors. For the record, I've met all of you before. We know one another quite well. My name is Joe Ureneck. I'm chair of the Fatherhood Coalition. And like Patrick, we've been coming here for a number of years speaking about issues primarily concerning men and fathers and how men and fathers are treated in the courts and families are affected by the treatment in the courts. And so like Patrick, I was at the last hearing. I did not speak at the last hearing for Mr. Berman. I knew very little about him, and after the last hearing, I did do a little bit of research concerning the position of the ADL on the issues that we are concerned about, which is the restraining orders and the use of restraining orders. We believe inappropriately in our courts against men and fathers. and the funding mechanism for those restraining orders, which comes from the Violence Against Women's Act, which we believe is a very sexist and discriminatory law. Now, the ADL supports this law. It was lobbying for the repassage of the law recently in 2013. And on their website, they have a statement saying that they lobbied for the passage of the law. And I'm assuming that given Mr. Berman's position in the ADL, that he also supports the Violence Against Women's Act and the restraining order laws, which the Act funds in this state and every state around the country. So for that reason alone, we would urge you to not confirm, because we believe this Act and these laws are extremely destructive. As I've mentioned to your preceding council, before some of you were elected, there are some who say that some 90 to 95% of the applications for restraining orders in the courts involve no violence whatsoever, except that the effects of these restraining orders on the individuals who are brought into the court are very extreme. Men are immediately removed from their families, they're immediately removed from their homes, they have loss of financial security, and they are in danger, and many times are in fact incarcerated for non-violent behavior. So on that issue, this issue of restraining orders and the Violence Against Women's Act, which the ADL has come out and supported, I would urge you to not vote favorably on the nomination.
Does anyone have any questions for Joe? Joe, just educate me a little bit on this. Now, as far as, how does it particularly discriminate against men? I mean, is there anything in that bill that really, that a man doesn't have any chance if he is innocent and if it's a false accusation or whatever?
Okay, well, let me go back to the genesis of these laws, which started in the 70s. In fact, in Massachusetts, the 209A law was signed by then Governor Dukakis. The underlying assumption of the Violence Against Women's Act is basically that men are inherently batterers and women are inherently victims. That's the underlying philosophy of the law. And the name itself does not say Violence Against Individuals Act, it's Violence Against Women's Act. So the nature of the law and the underlying theme of the law is that one sex is violent and the other sex is not violent. Now, in terms of the implementation of the law, we find that by and large, the recipients of these orders are predominantly men. Of course, there are women who also fall into this paradigm of being falsely accused, but predominantly it's men. And because the law itself is based on this premise that men are in fact the perpetrators of violence, then there's a predisposition to actually issue these orders on the basis of not wanting to take a chance that something may be wrong. So a temporary order may be issued for 10 days. Temporary orders are oftentimes continued if there's any inclination of the person who originally brought the order. And then if that person is a father, for example, he will immediately lose custody of his children. He will not be allowed to be with his children. He will be, as I said a moment ago, removed from his home. So the implications of this law are extremely draconian, extremely destructive of families. And so for an organization to come out and support this leads us to question what this organization really understands about the laws that are being put in place and the negative effects it has on society.
Well, I admit I don't know about that. I'm going to read about that because it sounds good, but you're telling me that it is not a good law.
Well, as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and of course, the intention is to protect people from violence. In this case, specifically protect women from violence. But as we see in case after case after case, a restraining order does not diminish violence. In fact, we find, and we have seen, that the issuance of restraining order can exacerbate very badly the relationships between people and cause people to commit crimes. So it's a very dangerous law. And I hope, no matter what the outcome of this case is, I hope Mr. Berman will go back to the ADL and they will revisit this and look at their support.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the councils will be looking at that law too, and I appreciate your testimony. I've been asked by the councilors
Thank you.
to take a 5-minute break, so 5 minutes.